scientist. I'm not an expert in footballs. I'm not an expert in football measurements.
Why can't you hold on to football? It's so goddamn hard about holding on to it.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 5 of the Fantasy Millionaires. Mike Collins, a.k.a. the Ralph Macho, and Scott Simpson, a.k.a. Nimble W Numbers. Ready to...
What's up?
Yeah, ready to get into rounds 9 through 11. But before we do that, we got some hot topics. We're going to do takeaways from the Democratic and Republican National Conventions, doxing, Hong Kong fugitive extradition, and how to deal with political divisions in your home league. You ready to go?
Honestly, we actually have a burgeoning division in our home league related to the schism in our country. So let's talk right. Oh, I'm getting.
How
word.
about
No. Okay, we're pulling out of that.
How
we're
about
pulling out. Okay,
yeah.
We're gonna come back to that after the draft this Sunday at 7:30 at my man Mike Collins' house. We might have to get some of that live streamed because your boy is a fugitive online, and I will stream some stuff, and it'll be fun. So tune in this Sunday night. It's gonna be wild.
Yeah. How about psych to all that? Psych.
My Periscope will be lit on Sunday night, folks. Just stay tuned.
Oh yeah. Yep. We'll be secretly filming our friends without their permission.
That's how I always secretly film my friends without their permission.
Hey, when they're not acting.
Right. No. I mean, I think the last several drafts, there's actually been picture footage of me drawing dongs on my friend Dan. That happened multiple times. And, so it's going to be a fun draft. Some of us are going to be sober, like you and I, sober-minded, ready to go.
And
we know our guys in rounds 9 through 11. We're prepared. And there's other guys who are going to be 9 through 11 beers deep at this time in their draft and our draft. And you and I will be plying them with booze. I can't wait for it, man. It's going to be brilliant.
Yes. Plying is the word. Yes.
Right.
They will be plied. Plowed
fully
upon.
Plied.
Yeah.
I'm bringing 2 Sharpies and a long stick so I don't have to get too close. I can socially distance and be responsible in the backyard. But we digress. Let's actually get to the main meat of the show, and that is going to be rounds 9 through 11. We talked the first couple of episodes through the first 8 rounds, really solidified those winners that you want to pick up, those key guys. You got Calvin Ridley we identified in there. We did not identify Leonard Fournette, thankfully. At least I did not identify Leonard Fournette. We can get to that later. But there's a lot that we went through that is excellent content. Go back and listen to that. It is on YouTube. It is on the Fantasy Millionaires YouTube channel, and it is worth tucking into, particularly the first couple rounds, because I think in there you really get to see our strategy develop and how we're thinking. And Mike has his own strategy, and I have my own strategy, and we're going to kind of lay it bare in this round, in these rounds as well. So, Mike, why don't you jump in right away?
Yeah, rounds 9 through 11 tonight. Now we're starting to sort through diamonds in the rough. So again, we're going to kind of get into strategy before we get into our guys for these rounds, and that's going to involve some tight end talk. These are the rounds to pick tight ends. You have to get them on your team in these rounds. So, the way that we've been drafting, we're drafting to try and build anti-fragility, and tight ends are just the least important position on your fantasy team. If you're lucky enough to have gotten Mark Andrews, Kelsey, Kittle, then you're set there. But most teams are not going to be set yet. So.
No.
We're going heavy into tight ends tonight's show.
Yeah. And I think we're just going to call it, you need your ends to be tight, because that really, if you're not getting Kelsey or Kittle or Andrews, and I think I've got them on all my teams, and I'm going to peel back the curtain. I'm doing about 50 drafts this year at least, counting best ball, maybe 60 drafts I've been in. And I've just started warming to getting Kittle and Kelsey in that second round instead of a wide receiver or running back. It's kind of tricky. You feel like, I'm going to miss out, but I've been getting them. The last draft I just did, I started running back, Kittle, Mark Andrews. This isn't a 14-team league, industry draft, and I could not be happier. I got Mark Andrews in the third. He is just gonna kill. But if you don't have one of those three guys, you need to double up in the later rounds. You need to have two bullets in your gun. Maybe you don't pick them up in this exact sequence. Maybe you don't go like back-to-back picks, but you need to get somebody in at least 9 through 12, two tight ends, because you don't know who's going to be there. But I think we've got some guys that we want to share and showcase today that you could pick up and that are going to give you a bump over your competition.
Yeah, so, the goal is now that we're into rounds 9 through 11 for the tight ends, you're trying to pick up that tight end that could get you 200 points, and so the way that we're moving through our ranks is who's gonna be that guy that gets you 14 points per game. I mean, Darren Waller, Evan Ingram, those guys they're gonna be in that range. Evan Ingram, of course he has his injury history, but now you're trying to pick up a guy that the shelf falls off quick with these guys.
Right.
Right. I mean, you go from Kelsey at 16 down to tight end 11, and they're averaging less than 9 points per game. So
right.
Yeah, it's this is, if you have been able to draft your whole team up until this point, and you need a tight end, you want to get an 8 through 12 tight end, and so we're just kind of ranking in that or who has the best shot to be that guy,
Right.
And so also in these rounds, as far as strategy goes, I mean, one thing that you're also kind of looking at is there are worthwhile handcuffs to get in these rounds too, like
or committee members as well. People who are in a lock share, maybe they're getting 30%, 40%. Somebody else is getting that Zach Moss types.
Yes. I think there's 5 worthwhile committees. You have Chubb and Hunt, Taylor Mack, Swift, Kerryon Johnson, Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, and Singletary and Zach Moss. Those are the main committees in 2020. And then kind of your 4 important handcuffs, the way I'm ranking them, are Madison, Latavius Murray, Boston Scott, and Tony Pollard.
Love Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I have him as the worst handcuff, strictly because I don't think Zeke's gonna get in. It's not based on talent. I just don't believe Zeke's gonna get injured. So it's kind of, when you're looking at a handcuff, you're looking at somebody that that's why Madison for me, and Latavius Murray is almost, you're moving into the committee range there. So those are kind of like in their own tier to me. And then, we've heard some injury news about Miles Sanders. So Boston Scott has moved up in my mind. But with Tony Pollard, Zeke's already had that COVID.
Right. He's got the antibodies.
Yeah, he's ready to go. He's good.
I saw his video on YouTube where he was like, or on Twitter or whatever it was, he was just being all drunk at his computer. That sounds like a guy who's, doing okay.
Yeah, he was getting drunk while battling COVID, allegedly.
All allegedly.
Yeah, it's alleged as much.
Well, I'm going to say our whole show is alleged. So, yeah. I mean, if you didn't hear the beginning of our show, then, none of this is completely serious. So, alleged. I'm just going to say that.
We should put that in the theme song. Everything is alleged.
Right, we should just say, hey, between me and you, we say that everyone knows this is alleged, right? And then, then they know. But, I mean, it's implicit. We're highbrow. We're not lowest common denominator, right?
Yeah. Pull back the curtain. The fantasy millionaires are alleged fantasy millionaires. There's a lot of alleging going on here.
Right. I'm allegedly wearing a Biggie sweater. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Mucho alleging.
Mucho allegedly. Well, and we also later on in the show, as well as we're kind of giving you the agenda. We're also going to kind of peek into some of those running backs who don't form the bulkhead of the committee, but who might come out of the committees. So Damian Harris, Lamar Miller, Sony Michel's a bunch of trash in there. So the Patriots are their kind of own beast. We'll kind of get into that, and then we have some wide receiver rookie upside that we want to get into before we jump into wide receiver 2 theory a little bit, and then get into our bread and butter, and that is 3 tweets. So if you get drunk and pass out, and you want to wake up to hear 3 tweets, set your alarm for about an hour from now, and then drunk pass out, do your thing, wake up, 3 tweets will be blaring in your ear. You'll love it. So
yeah. So a lot of strategy talk. Again, these are the tight end rounds. These are potential handcuff. Good committee members. There's still, Zach Moss, maybe Marlon Mack still available. J.K. Dobbins is probably still available. So that's the strategy of these rounds. But my man, Scott Simpson, has pioneered his own theory, and it is called wide receiver 2 theory. And that is one of the key points of strategy that we wanted to talk before we got into how we're doing tight ends and then our 4 must-get guys in these rounds. So what is wide receiver 2 theory, Mr. Scott Simpson?
Oh, I love that. Thank you, sir. Well, I'm not going to say that I came up with this completely on my own. This past off season, JJ Zachariason tweeted out, him and Denny had a mailbag. They wanted to get some questions into their mailbag to discuss. And I asked him, has anyone ever done a study on the draft, the ADP positional rankings of wide receiver 1s that are drafted as the wide receiver 1s compared to the wide receiver 2s, and how often do they hit, miss, what have you? And he said, no one's ever done that. That sounds interesting. You should look into it. So, if JJ Zachariason says to do something, I do it. That's just kind of how it works. So I spent some time this summer, and I back mapped the last 6 seasons. And not that I couldn't have gone deeper, but I've seen a recurring pattern. And what it is that overall there's about and this give or take, there's range in this, but let's say about a 60% to 55% accuracy rate of picking wide receiver 1s. And just to give you guys some example of what that actually practically looks like, I have pulled up on my screen just some of my data from last year. And in this, I have the projected wide receiver 1s and then who actually finished as the wide receiver 1s. And so, for example, you have some variance in with Stephon Diggs being drafted slightly behind Adam Thielen last year. It wasn't a huge gap. He was drafted last year at 307. I think Adam Thielen was a little bit higher, 304, something like that. So him finishing as a wide receiver 1, okay, that doesn't really stand out, right? But we also have Chris Godwin, who's being drafted in the 4th round, who got wide receiver 1, Jarvis Landry, wide receiver 1, Jamison Crowder, wide receiver 1. And as you look down this list, Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 1, DJ Shark, wide receiver 1. All these different receivers were drafted as the wide receiver 2 on their team, and they finished as the wide receiver 1. Cooper Kupp was drafted crazy as the wide receiver 3. Deontay Johnson was drafted as the wide receiver 3, and A.J. Brown was drafted as the wide receiver 3. So I realize that is not always indicative every single year, but I noticed that there was enough of an edge and a value. And as I started listening to my guys, Mike Tagliere and Kyle Yates over at the Fantasy Pros, they had on Joe Pisapia, and he explained to people that you're always looking for those wide receiver 2s who are going to jump up into the wide receiver 1 conversation. Same with RBs, but with wide receivers, there's a little bit more variance in what happens, I believe, because the running back 1 normally, unless there's an injury, like Zeke, you said it's going to be the RB1 in Dallas. That's pretty clear. you know? And so I reached out to him and kind of just shared, some of my guys this year who I thought were going to make that jump. He shared some of his guys, and I'll share a little bit of that later, the exact guys. Just stick around for that. It's called tease. But overall, what you're looking for in this model that I've developed is you're looking for those guys who are being undervalued.
Yeah.
And that's right where we're coming in today with a few of our guys that are in those rounds. Particularly, we both identified somebody in CeeDee Lamb, who is being drafted as the wide receiver 3 on that team. And for me, I think he has wide receiver 1 upside weekly. Now, he's not going to get as many targets as Amari Cooper, but DallasCowboys.com news ranked him as the #1 wide receiver. And, before my computer crashed, before we were starting all this, I had it pulled up. And so, I found it. So this is excellent. So let me just read what they have to say. This is not me. This is Dallas Cowboys spin machine, which is fine. But I don't think they'd be saying this if it wasn't true. So here's what they said. CeeDee Lamb, #1. In terms of electrifying practices, Lamb was voted as the best receiver in camp. He routinely turns out a highlight reel catch and has the ability of doing it in a variety of ways. Lamb even caught a screen pass that was way behind his head, but used his left hand to snag it and keep running his route. He's made plays over the middle and definitely down the field. Lamb has shown the ability to get open in the red zone as well. Overall, he's made play after play and is living up to the hype of being the Cowboys' first-round pick and the next in line to wear number 88. Now, at DallasCowboys.com, you're getting fluff on that. Well, the Dallas Cowboys defense last week gave up 3 red zone touchdowns to CeeDee Lamb on 3 possessions. He went 3 for 3 with 3 in a row. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's going to get you 12 touchdowns. I'm saying he has the potential, though, to get you wide receiver 2 numbers more consistently than he's probably going to get you wide receiver 3 numbers. That's just me. That's me calling my shot and saying that's somebody who I think fits this model, who I like as a candidate for this. What are your thoughts on him? Because you did share, you also like Mr. Lamb.
So one of the things that's interesting about wide receiver 2 theory is there was a tweet, I can't remember who put it out there, but over the last 15, 20 years in the NFL, there's on average 4 teams that support 2 wide receiver top 24s in fantasy. And so it's very uncommon. And Dallas was the team, one of the teams last year that did it. I love CeeDee Lamb. It's the millionaires. If he's still available, in rounds 9 through 11, take him with your first pick. I think depending on your team or what you have as far as depth, he can go earlier. I look at CeeDee Lamb, and I think he's a great example to kind of showcase what wide receiver 2 theory is, because if you're getting a guy in the 9th round that ends up getting you, 250 or more points, that's just a huge advantage for your team. So to me, CeeDee Lamb, I rank him as the 3rd wide receiver on that team, but last year, so he's going to take Randall Cobb's position. Last year, Randall Cobb had 83 targets, 55 receptions, and 828 yards. They almost had 3 wide receivers with over 1,000 yards on their team last year.
Right.
And that's Randall Cobb. I mean, Randall Cobb has been playing for a long time. So you're talking about just a major upgrade. So
much faster than Randall Cobb. He would get tired running down the field and have to take a break.
Right. Yeah, that's why Randall Cobb didn't finish so high, is because he only had 3 TDs. So
they tackled him every time at the 10-yard line.
If CeeDee Lamb can break some of these slant routes, which he has the ability to do, he definitely fits into this wide receiver 2 category. And Dallas I think they're going to win their first playoff game in a long time this year. They just look
Yeah.
like a monster team.
Yes. I hate to say this, they're my pick to win the Super Bowl. That's my pick. Unless there's, injuries, COVID, whatever. I mean, notwithstanding, fine. But they're my pick. I hate to say it, but they on offense, I can't think of a group of 5 players that are better at their skill positions collectively at 6, counting Dak. I don't think you have a better set of wide receivers. I don't think you have a better, more athletic tight end, and then Zeke. And so if they can stay healthy and really distribute the ball and do a good job of kind of balancing that offense, Dak's going to step up and he's going to go, oh, who's getting one-on-one coverage on this play? And then he's going to throw an 80-yard touchdown to that player, whoever that is. I'm just saying, I think that my guy CeeDee Lamb will finish. I think he'll finish ahead. I like him ahead of Amari Cooper. I'm not going to draft him ahead of Amari Cooper, but if he ends up better than Amari Cooper, I'm not going to be surprised because Amari Cooper's not a red zone threat. You don't go to Amari Cooper in the red zone. Amari Cooper catches his balls in space and he is gone, and you do not touch him. So CeeDee Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb can get those big old hands that you like to talk about. Did you do a hand profile on CeeDee Lamb?
He actually, his measurables, there's nothing that really jumps out. It's all just film. I think he's in like 9.25. There's not, like, if you look at what he is, he's 6'2", he's 200 pounds, he runs a 4.5 40. I think his hands are like 9.25. There's nothing. The thing about CeeDee Lamb is just
he puts it all together, though.
Yeah, right. Like Jerry Rice didn't have great measurables, So,
right.
He has
instinct.
Right. He has talent as a wide receiver, and a lot of people thought he should have gone number 1. As far as the wide receiver draft class, I personally, I've been hearing about this guy for forever. So I'm very excited to see what he's going to do on the Cowboys. And the other thing about the Cowboys, too, with Mike McCarthy as their coach, he is a completely different offensive mind than Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett is old school, pound the rock, So if you look at that offense last year, with a head coach that has a run first mindset, Dallas is definitely a team I'm very interested in, and I want shares of everybody on that offense on my team. So,
heck yeah! And here's something that's going to confirm that. I mean, it sounds crazy, but the 2 teams that have the most vacated targets from last year. And this is from not John Dangle, but really John Dangle from Roto World. Love him. Shout out. He created a tool that I colorized, and I have it up on my screen right now that I'm sharing. The Atlanta Falcons are number 1 with 258 targets vacated. That's why I love Calvin Ridley this year, and Hayden Hurst is in my top tier of tight ends. The Cowboys are number 2. They have 190 vacated targets. They have 9 targets, or 45% of their inside the 10 targets vacated. I think that CeeDee Lamb picks up a bunch of those. Also, they got 32% of their air yards need to be accounted for. If you want to put CeeDee Lamb in a good position to score, give him some air, give him the ball, he'll take some yards, and he'll get a touchdown. So this is an opportunity, and I think that's what we're really looking for in these offenses. And I'm not saying he's better than Amari Cooper. I'm not saying he's a more seasoned professional. I think there's just a better opportunity for him to bust out at his ADP. I think you're looking at 3 amazingly skilled players, and I wouldn't be surprised if any one of them's the wide receiver 1. But with that being said, if I'm not surprised any of them's the wide receiver 1, he's the cheapest, by far the cheapest. I think the best value you can get out of those wide receivers. So he fits my model for value, also fits my model for breakout. But he's not the only one who does that this year. In the Houston Texans offense, they've got candidates for breakout. Arizona Cardinals as well, with Christian Kirk. So there's a lot of different players that fit this model and a lot of different teams that do. I'll come back at the end and I'll give you a few that Joe Pisapia liked and who I liked as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go with Cash's guys that I think fit the wide receiver 2 model, I think Mecole Hardman is somebody who fits the wide receiver 2 model. I mean, if anybody's going to have 2 wide receivers in the top 24 for fantasy, why not the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah.
I think he's somebody that you can get in these rounds. That's again, the upside is huge. I think my boy Golden Tate is somebody I think you can get in these rounds, and he's just tried and true. And he could be, he could be a fringe wide receiver too. I bet he'll end up right around there.
You convinced me, by the way, off-air talk. No, Radio Insider. But you have convinced me. You've been pushing for him. So I included him in my rankings. He snuck in to my rankings at 10-09. So he is there. I agreed with you. He did fit my model. The thing I'm concerned about was Daniel Jones in that situation and just his consistency, particularly with his offensive coordinator being a terrible play caller in Jason Garrett. And so I'm a little bit worried. I think the market has gone down on Daniel Jones. His ADP is not where it used to be. I remember he was the hot, new girlfriend in the summer. There's pictures of him out kind of drinking, being cooler than Eli. And they're like, this guy's kind of cool. But his ADP has slipped. He's going much later than he was before. And, for me, he's just not somebody who I'm going to be dipping my toe in the pool. So I'm a little worried, but I like Darius Slayton too. I think Darius Slayton, I have him ranked above Sterling Shepard. I don't like Sterling Shepard. He gets hurt. He's not consistently on the field. I need somebody who's going to be on the field. So, Tate fits your model, and then Slayton kind of fits my model on the other side too. So same offenses we're looking at, just kind of different pieces of the puzzle.
Yep. I think John Brown is another one that, has a shot at that.
With Deontay Johnson, we talked about it last week. He's hurt right now, right? So he doesn't have the inside track to do that anymore. James Washington might, though.
Yeah.
So he's in that same position like your guy John Brown, who has somebody who is obviously the number one that everyone says is the number one, but is he really going to be the number one?
Yeah.
So what's your case for John Brown? Why do you like him?
He's got wheels, dude. He's got wheels, and if Josh Allen improves with his accuracy, now you have to deal with Stephon Diggs, So I think he just fits into that model of, the defenses are going to focus more on Stephon Diggs, so it's going to leave him. The thing about Josh Allen is he has a cannon, so it's all about, does he step up in terms of delivering the football. And I don't love John Brown. I just think he fits into that model where it's a possibility. I put Justin Jefferson at the end of the 11th round too, because Kirk Cousins has supported. He has he has done it in the past, had 2 wide receiver wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and he has. If you look at last season, whatever was going on offensively stopped midway through the season, and they just completely changed their game plan. And Kirk Cousins is an accurate passer, so I think Justin Jefferson is somebody that you can get nice and late that fits into that model too. But besides that, for me, I guess the only other person that I think, Anthony Miller, he's somebody too that that offense has got awful, but he fits into that ready to take a jump metric too. So we'll see.
A lot of people are to him. A lot of people do like Anthony Miller. If Nick Foles gets the job, I think the whole Bears offense gets upgraded. I don't like Trubisky. He looks like a deer in headlights, or he looks like Johnny Unitas. So he needs to be a much more consistent player. And I don't think they're gonna pick up his contract. I think he is done. This is his last year. That's my thought. This is it for him. I don't believe in him. So I'm Team Foles. I know Foles isn't great, but he's a game manager, and just get it to the skill players. Get it to Tyreek Cohen in space. We need to talk to Matt Nagy about how to actually develop some space. You have Cordell Patterson on your team. You have Tariq Cohen on your team. You have Allen Robinson on your team. You have Anthony Miller on your team, and you can't get them the ball.
Yeah.
Like, goodness gracious, man. Like, what a terrible blot on you. It's not Adam Gase level stuff, but all those guys are competent players. And I think that Anthony Miller, if he gets some competent coaching too, which we all assume, we're all like penciling him in for the right amount of targets, and then you realize he's in an offense with a terrible coach. So,
So again, when I'm building my model or my when I'm developing how to pick and I'm ordering these picks in the 9th round, basically the way I ended up evaluating these players beyond their projection is now it's upside. This is why not start taking a chance even more on players in these rounds that you see a lot of the upside on. So
your guys, the guys
right.
you want on your team. Yeah.
When I'm doing, rankings, I'm looking at a draft board and I'm picking each player and trying to make 12 perfect teams. And when you're getting into the 9th round, wide receiver 2 theory, to me, if you look at how I did things in the 9th round, the person I didn't highlight that I think is probably the most likely to fit into that wide receiver 2 besides CeeDee Lamb is Preston Williams. So if you're looking at how I'm if you're looking at how I'm ranking at CeeDee Lamb, Preston Williams, Mecole Hardman, and then I have Curtis Samuel and Golden Tate as the guys that I think you could get late and get a lot more value for than than where their ADP is. So
and I have I've gone. This is what's cool about doing a show with your best friend who you talk to regularly about fantasy football. You just you sharpen each other. And so for me, I've listened to you, and I've moved CeeDee Lamb up into the 8th round. Mecole Hardman's up in the 8th round, where AJ Green is. Brandon Cooks is in there for me. So they're a couple picks ahead, like 3 or 4 picks ahead of where you have them, so relatively close. But I really do love Preston Williams. And so, for me, Preston Williams is somebody who I have in the 7th round, which is kind of crazy because, you can get him later. But I think that's his value. And I think that he's going to get a lot of targets, and he's going to I'm predicting him for about 115 targets. If he can get 75 catches, he can get over 1,000 yards. He can get 7 touchdowns. He's going to be a wide receiver too. He's going to fit into my theory. Shout out Jason Sarney. Jason Sarney, my man, he called it last year. He wrote an article and he published, and I can share with everybody, that said he would make the team. Not only would make the team, he would be a starter. So this guy, I'm a believer in him too. He came back really fast from his ACL tear. He was on a tear before he had a tear. I think he even had like 2 touchdowns in the game. He tore it. So this guy's a beast, and I think he is going to do well. And I love that you have him up there. I went a little crazy with it though. Let's be honest.
So basically, we've kind of given you wide receiver 2. I think we'll wrap up with our tight end talks, but I think why not let's just go in and pick. So we said CeeDee Lamb is must guy I have in this round. I'll tell you my must guy I have in this round that, I'm, if you're looking at ADP, I'm going ahead of ADP on this guy is Antonio Gibson. That's that is someone that he's going to still be around at this point, and I am very excited to get him in the BFFs league. I am getting Antonio Gibson.
You mother BFFer.
He's going on my squad, dude. He is going on my squad. So, I mean, the Redskins. Sorry, not the Redskins. That's wrong. Can't say
the
that.
Washington football team.
The Washington football team.
From Washington, but really not from Washington. They play in Maryland, and then they train in Virginia, and they drive around DC. They don't even go through DC to get to. Never mind. I'm sorry.
the more I keep hearing about him, we live in the DC metro area, so we're tuning
Bubble.
into, we're tuning into that as far as local news. This guy, to me, has the potential to get you over 240 points in a league like we play in.
PPR machine he could be.
He's got a 4.39 40 time. I saw different heights on him. He's anywhere from 6'1" to 6'2", 220 pounds. So he's a big boy. And Ron Rivera is basically saying that they're going to use him in some completely hybrid way that is still yet to be revealed. So, I mean, you can just imagine, that Percy Harvin type role. But the thing that is really exciting to me is that all the beat reporters are saying that he has 3 down back potential. Like, he might end up being the workhorse back on that offense. Now, if you have a guy that's going to be the work, because I mean, what are they going to do? That team is, if they want to win football games, Adrian Peterson is not how you're going to win football games, And I was kind of excited about Bryce Love this year, and now there's rumors that he might get cut. So
yeah,
I mean, yeah. So Antonio Gibson.
Those rumors, by the way.
Did you? I did hear them from you. So. Yeah, you're my source, actually. So I have no idea.
No, so here's what it is that he's being edged out. He's not going to be cut necessarily, but the word on the street is that McKissick is getting more reps in practice than he is, and he's. So here's the thing: in the NFL, you don't dress 4 running backs unless the 4th running back is going to run down on the punt team or the kickoff team and try to tackle somebody. I don't think Bryce Love's going to do that. I don't think he's going to be a tackling dummy. So my thought would be he wouldn't dress. And so he went from a nice stash in Dynasty to, but I think Gibson, I'm with you. I think he has the potential to, let's say you have Peterson on first down and then he runs in to his butt of the lineman and falls down, loses a yard, whatever, gains 2 yards, whatever, right? So then you bring, your boy Gibson in, and then he's a little scat back, he's a little H back, he lines up in the slot behind us, tight end, and then they run a screen for him down the field or whatever, they do something, and then next thing you know, he's in the backfield, he's just running the ball. Like, he can do it all, so that when you're going down the field, you can just plop him around your offense. It's like a Swiss Army knife. And so those guys stay on the field because they can line up anywhere, and that gets a mismatch on the defense. So, man, you're not getting him because I'm getting him. I got him at wait, let me check. You ranked him at 904. I got him at 903, man. Sorry. That means I get him in the BFFs.
Did you see the video of Adrian Peterson just getting pwned by Chase Young? Have you seen that one yet?
No, I sadly, well, not sadly. I'm not gonna say that. I loved my job today. I got to work today for the first time and actually teach. And I spent my day teaching, not online, not tweeting, not being involved in any nefarious, fun, Washington football team news. But I would love for you to send me that tweet later in the day, good sir.
Yeah, it honestly, there was a lot of hype over it. But he does pwn him.
I want to see it.
Yeah,
that's how I go.
It gets you so excited for Chase Young, dude. I'm very excited for him. So, Antonio Gibson, CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is a millionaire's consensus. Is Antonio Gibson a millionaire's consensus?
If you get one, I'm getting the other. We're fighting these guys out. I mean, our team in the BFFs is going to be redonkulous. We're going to come back and share all the guys we plied with alcohol and all the guys that we let them know who we should draft, and we're going to take it from them. They're not listening to this. They're too good for us. So
I'm so glad we're drafting far apart. All right, so we have time to get into tight ends because that is a worthwhile. That's the
bulk of the conversation.
Yeah.
Heavy lifting from the tight ends.
I wanted to say that my second person that I'm recommending drafting in this round is no longer my 15th pick off the board. I am now putting Mr. Leonard Fournette at the end of the 10th round. Major fantasy news today. Leonard Fournette cut. unbelievable.
Zachariza.
Unbelievable. I was blown away when you sent me that tweet earlier today. I was like, what the heck?
I wanted to blow you away. That's why I sent you that tweet earlier today.
Yeah. It worked. I just like, I could not believe it. And I'm going to give a shout out. I want to shout out Tyler O at FF Tyler O. He's the owner of Fantasy Hot Read. We were going back and forth on the.
I like him.
Yeah, we were going back and forth on the Twitters, because you were teasing me about Chris Thompson getting red zone carries, and I was like, whatever, that's not a big deal. And
I remember
he put it in there. He said, this was 2 days ago. He said, I heard he was going to get cut, and the guys that established the run, Evan Silva, Adam Levitan, they both had a discussion. Evan Silva was like, I wouldn't be surprised if he got cut.
wow.
Yeah, I don't know how these guys knew that. I listened to the rest of the stuff they said, and I just completely disagree 100%. Hate to go against those guys, but I am a Leonard Fournette truther. And I saw a video today of Leonard Fournette truthers on the Twitters where, that tweet where it's like the African guys carrying a coffin, and they're like,
yeah, love that one. That's a great one.
Yeah, that's me. I'm in that coffin, and I'm being carried around by the African guys to the weird disco music.
Well, I hope they brought you over to my Twitter where I did Mr. Chow going, hey, mama. I got a little Mr. Chow going. I said to all the Fournette truthers out there. So that was you. That was just for you, actually, because I know you like The Hangover. So,
dude, where's he? I mean, to me, this is like the craziest news to happen right now. I mean, I have to go.
You're not alone, by the way, thinking that. People are like, "What are they doing? What is this? This is nuts."
Oh no! I mean, like, where's he gonna go? I mean, this affects the whole fantasy landscape. What if the Chiefs get him? What if Philadelphia picks him up?
Right. Well, just for fun, my guy Nick over at Big Dogs Gotta Eat, shout out Big Dogs, love those guys. He tweeted out top landing spots. He said Carolina, Dallas, New Orleans, the Giants, Tennessee, Minnesota Vikings, just to like mess with people, just to cause an uproar, just to be a jerk. I love it. Love him. This is New Jersey coming out at him, and everyone got pissed at him, and he just he blew it off on his pod. Just said it was so funny. I loved it. It was great. Because what's he gonna do? He's gonna ruin somebody's fantasy team. Two people's. He's gonna ruin two people's. One, you already drafted him, like a guy in my league did on last Saturday. He drafted him, and now the other guys drafted Chris Thompson, and I wanted to get him in like the 14th, and I decided to get somebody else. I should have gotten him, but you know what? Hindsight's a million%. But yeah, crazy dealings today.
That team is so garbage now without him. I can't believe it. And the other thing is that they're trying to, they're acting like he has this really expensive contract. Here are players getting paid more than him: Tevin Coleman, Giovanni Bernard, Jordan Howard, Duke Johnson. I mean, he's in the middle of the top 30 backs. He's like, he would be, I think, 15th or 16th as far as salary. So
yeah,
there's a lot of teams with cap space out there. That the Patriots have a ton of cap space. I honestly think it's going to be the Patriots or the Washington football team. Those are to me, those are the two most likely candidates. They both have a lot of cap, and they both could use somebody like Leonard Fournette. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm a truther. Everyone's saying he's so garbage that he falls down as soon as he gets hit. Meanwhile, he's got 5th in yards after contact last year. He has, he's slow and he always gets caught. He has 31 runs of 10 plus yards or more, 5th again. Um, 7th in rushing last year, 5th in receiving yards, 8 in yards created. I mean, I don't understand all the Leonard Fournette hate.
Well, I think the thing that happened last year that blew him up is he had 100 targets, which really, that made him a top 15 back, top 18 back. But those targets are gone. Chris Thompson took his value away, and that's part of his value. He had almost 1,200 yards rushing last year. He ran at 3.4, which is his best yards per carry. He went 3.9, 3.3.
No,
which
it was 4.3. He was
And when he was
4.3. 4.3 yards per carry last year.
4.3. Yeah, he improved a whole yard from the year before. I don't think he's trash. I think what happens is when you running backs, there's a lot of good running backs. Sadly, Jacksonville doesn't have any of them. So I understand Jacksonville doing this if they had like a good running back and they were like, hey, we have your boy Gibson. We could take him. We got Antonio Gibson. We'll get rid of Fournette. They don't have that. So I don't know what they're doing. They're going to lose. They're tanking for Lawrence. I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing.
There's not a lot of good running backs at his level. I don't. If he was on the Jacksonville Jaguars and he was their only weapon. I mean, the defenses were stacking the box against him the entire time. He had the 7th most attempts, and he still had 4.3 yards per carry. So I just don't get it. I do not understand why people are down on him. I listened to them, at Establish the Run, and I read articles about different people who are evaluating him, and they just say things that aren't true. Like he's slow, and like they don't blame any of that on the offense. I mean, if you look at playerprofile.com and you look at formation specific defenses versus him, average defenders in the box, number 4, stack front carry rate, number 5. I mean, they knew
scheming against him. They were scheming for him
the entire time, and he still and he had a bad season before the year before because he was injured. He played half a season. If you look at the trajectory of his season, he was on pace to be a top 12 back. He was number 8 in our league last year. Yeah. He was on pace to be top 12, and he was top 12 the year before that. So to me, on the worst teams. So I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Can I tell you what I think should get him? And this is just my own theory. I haven't read anybody, didn't read any articles, did zero research today. So I just want to tell you, this is off the cuff in the dome. If I was Matt Patricia in Detroit with one guy who says he's Mr. Knee Brace, another guy who is rookie but who's he's hurt right now. Does Detroit have any cap space? Because that might be somebody where he could go. I'm not sure if that's the case, but throwing it out there.
He's a bell cow back. I mean, just like every single team could use him. I mean, there's
the Rams.
Yeah. I mean, literally, like name teams. There's only a few of these kind of backs in the NFL. To me, he's as valuable as they get. He's underpaid. He's underpaid. Duke Johnson makes more than he does.
That's sick. That's sick.
Yeah.
Jordan Howard. I think have a yards per dollar start category for you. Like how many yards people are making compared to how much they're actually putting out. He'd be in the top probably. Not making a lot. Rookie deal.
Yeah. So I mean, enough about that, dude. I say still draft him in the 10th because I believe he will get picked up, and I believe if you get Leonard Fournette and he's on the Patriots and you got him in the 10th round, that could be a league winner. So why not go ahead and waste your 10th round draft pick on him? The last guy that we wanted to highlight before we got into,
can I share something from the tweeters out in Periscope?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So S Bonham 22 says only 3 RBs have finished top 12 in PPR each of the last 3 years: Zeke, Kamara, and Fournette. So, interesting stat. If it's true, I'm not doubting it, but I'm just saying, Fournette isn't trash. I think, I
was
play a lot of
injured.
Dynasty, and he is being trashed in Dynasty because he didn't get his option picked up. You know, the 5th-year option's gone. This was his last year, and so immediately they're like, he's a dead guy running. They're either going to use him or they're going to lose him. And as soon as Jay Gruden came in there, it became apparent that Jay Gruden was going to lose him. I mean, everything I heard was like him and Chris Thompson were out, like, you know, swinging at nightclubs together. And him and Chris Thompson were like sharing playbooks together and like eating spaghetti together and like eating meatballs and shit. Like, I didn't hear anything about him and Fournette. So, you know, it's not a surprise to me completely. I was off of him. And this is not an I told you so, but this is, you know, a win for Dynasty. But really, I think it's a value play for anybody, like you said, who can pick him up in the 10th. So when everyone's congratulating themselves on like calling it, you swoop in, get the value way, way late in your draft. I love that strategy.
Yeah.
I might steal him from you too.
Yeah, I mean, 2018 he played half the season, so I don't know what he's
He had
talking
a
about.
high ankle sprain, I think, to start the season. I mean, he was just gutting it out that year. He was really injured. His wheels were injured.
Right.
So
right. But he had 1,300 yards from scrimmage in 2017, his rookie year, 10 touchdowns, 600 in 8 games, over 600 in 8 games. So he's on pace for over 1,200. And then last year he had 1,600 yards from scrimmage, you know, and he only had 3 touchdowns. If he had 5 more touchdowns, you're talking about, you know, top 4, top 3. I mean, and that's still not a lot. Like Aaron Jones had 19, you know what I mean? So, if you put him on the Packers, for instance,
he should get him. Yeah, I hope he gets him. Then he'll have so many guys who look great in shorts. It'd be great.
Yeah. No, they're
The
good.
all shorts team.
They're good on guys with big thighs. So,
Oh, I like that. Guyswithbigthighs.com. Might coming soon.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm going to put that up with the Green New Deal and all the other stuff in Hot
Yeah,
Topics.
I mean, hand size might be one thing, but what about circumference of thigh? I might want to get down there and just get that tape measure. How big's that thigh you working with? You know what I mean?
Yeah, trash can
Paint
thighs.
ball,
Yeah. AJ Dillon, he'll be in the next set of rounds for sure for me. So we'll talk about trash can thighs there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the last thing we have to talk about, we kind of teased it a bunch.
Well, no. We have one more player.
Who's your? I'm sorry.
Well, it's your guy too. It's both our guys. So we're simpatico again. It's Damian Harris.
Yes.
We're throwing out Sony Michel. Take out the trash.
That guy's trash. Not as a person, but as a yards per carry. As he's the guy who gets hit by a breeze and falls over in the backfield. I don't know how he got goal line carries last year. Ridiculous.
Sony Michel had an ACL tear in high school. He injured his knee in the SEC championship game in 2017. In 2018, he had a knee fluid procedure. In 2019, he had a knee scope. And in 2020, he had foot surgery. So I don't know why I don't get where ECR
What does Edwin
is.
think about him? Edwin probably does not like him at all.
I don't get why ECR has him ahead of Damian Harris, especially like right now when everything you're hearing out of camp is that Damian Harris is splitting first team carries with this guy, and that Belichick has historically redshirted so many guys on his team, and he has done that with including redshirt running backs James White and Shane Vereen. So
those are guys. I remember them.
Yeah, those are guys, and they're like the exact same situation. They're all guys that were drafted similar rounds.
Yeah.
They end up not playing their first year because Belichick wants them to have all the abilities as the pass catching back to pick up blitzes, do all the things that they need to be able to do. And Damian Harris, to me, is a steal in these rounds. And you can get him later, depending on who's in your league. But in our league, it's going to be one of us who gets this guy. Yeah.
It will.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm not big into like, me, calling my shots. I'm the man. I don't kind of do scoreboards that much. But I was in a best ball draft with my man Denny Carter. He invited me in from the Patreon league that we're in, that he, the Patreon that he runs. I'm in. He just put something out there. He said, anybody want to be in it with him? Just testing the waters, just seeing how it goes. He drafted Sony Michel in the 8th round, I think, and I just kind of made fun of him on Twitter. Just kind of told him like, hey, bro, that's kind of trashy,
Yeah.
And then actually it led to a discussion, and he asked me to send him something, and then he shared what I thought on the podcast, which was cool because it was about Damian Harris. And it was about me saying on his podcast that I thought Damian Harris was going to get the reps this year. Sonny Michel was not going to get 200 carries. I said I think he's going to get under 100. I bet you get 65 if he gets 70. And I think my man Damian Harris is going to get upwards of 210 maybe. That would be for me. Now, they might not all come at the beginning of the season. Maybe they come more stretched out to the end, but I think Belichick rides him with Cam, and they have a number one running back this year. And not overall, but for them, he's their number one running back this year. I really believe in that. And I called it back in long time ago. So I'm excited about that. I got one right, hopefully. We'll see if he pans out, and it could just be nothing. But
so
that's my guy.
Yeah, well, since you're tooting your own horn, here's one. Toot with you, buddy.
Visa.
Good call.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's
Tight end talk. We want to tuck into the tight end.
Yeah. We just got it. We got to do it. I mean,
tucking into tight ends.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys.
The guys I want to tuck into.
These are big men. These are
tight ends.
Yeah, these are big men, and they're guys you want to get into a bar fight with. These are
on your
guys.
Side. Not against.
No, not against. Against. So, yeah, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys that I think are worth talking about.
That's a gangbang, bro.
Yeah, it's tight end gangbang. I don't know if we're gonna be able to go through all of them. I'll just say, for me, the first one I'm picking in this round is T.J. Hawkinson. Where are you at with him? I think you're nervous about him because of his ankle injury.
I did update the ranks. I'm only a few picks behind. I put Noah Fant in front of him. The thing about T.J. Hawkinson, I have him on my Scott Fishbowl League team, so I do like him a lot this year. The stories are in camp, he's tearing up. He's unguardable. No one can touch him. He's crushing it. Matt Stafford looks great. I love that. But I just don't know with an injury, that I'm not off of him. I actually think in the 9th round, 10th round, he's a good value. But I'm also, if I draft Hawkinson, I'm also going to pick up another one of the guys we kind of mentioned in the lower tier coming back around, because I can't trust him to be my number one all year. I drafted him last year in the league. He did great week 1 and he got a concussion. I just dropped him, got somebody else. So tight ends you can stream. Tight ends do come out of nowhere. I think this year though, like no other year, we are on to tight ends. Like you're not sneaking Jonnu Smith by anybody. You're not going to be getting Austin Hooper in the 14th round. I mean, you put, and I love this, your 7-guy train, as you could say, all in a row. And I think that's very indicative of what happens in these leagues is that people go on runs. And I was in a draft today. 6 tight ends went in a row. And I thought, one more. We got a Mike Collins special. Didn't happen. But when it does, I'll let you know. And if you have a league where you've had a Mike Collins special, that's 7 guys in a train. You send that to me.
So, and that's the thing. There's a quarterback train going on in round 6 through 8, and
True.
This is the tight end train, and it's the last. It should be the last position that you're filling up.
Right.
You could potentially not have a quarterback here, and you could still get Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton, whoever. But now you have to fill up this position. So I say, go back to back, rounds 9 and 10, go back to back. I put Hawkinson. I think it's a bold, I think it's, I have him at tight end 8. I think it's a bold, it's a lot different than how he played last year. I'm strictly going off the camp hype too. There is a lot of camp hype on him. And I think people are worried about the ankle injury because there was a report. The offensive coordinator, Darrell Bevell, said he's not 100%, right? That's the word that you're hearing about his ankle. Well, that report was that somehow that's stuck with him. That was in June that they were saying that. You know, he injured his ankle on Thanksgiving, and according to Hawkinson, he is 100%. He's not saying he's not 100%. This is what he said. He said he's 100%, but basically it's in his consciousness, you know? So it's not like it's affecting him, but he just, because
it's hanging around.
It's in his head, but he's not doing anything different. He's just, you know, yeah, I saw a picture of the injury. It definitely didn't look good. But again, you're hearing all that camp hype. I look at him where all these guys that were, for me, that I'm ranking up until Gronk, you know, it goes TJ, Tyler, Hayden Hurst, Noah Fant, Blake Jarwin, and I'm sneaking him in way earlier than other people. They're all fitting into that like 2 to 4 year. Higbee already did it. That 2 to 4 year, just where tight ends really start to progress. You know, rookie tight ends just generally aren't that good their rookie year. It's just such a highly skilled position.
You gotta learn how to block big, huge men. Yeah,
Right.
You're not worrying about your routes. You're worrying about getting off your block and getting into the second. It's hard.
Right. So,
Yeah.
and you saw it with Higbee last year where he steps up and just, you know, he has that leap forward year. And I look at TJ Hawkinson with the times that you saw him last year flash, he seemed to me to flash the hardest. And again, with what everyone's saying in camp, so I put him as my tight end 8, but I mean, all these guys are very close to me. Like I went Hawkinson, Higbee, Hayden Hurst. I think Hayden Hurst, again, we don't know what we're going to get with him either. You know, it's a brand new offense, but I'm putting Hayden Hurst, you know, ahead of Gronkowski, ahead of Austin Hooper. And it's because he's going to the Falcons, you know. If
He also has first round draft capital too, so there is investment in him. You know, from the Ravens that thought he would be a tight end 1 in their offense.
Yeah, and they just had Mark Andrews, so it's like, you know, he emerged as the guy on that team. But Hayden Hurst is now going to the Falcons. Austin Hooper, he had 195 fantasy points last year, 97 targets, 75 receptions, 6 TDs. He basically had the same year in 2018, 88 targets, 71 receptions, 4 TDs, 660 yards, 65 targets, 49 receptions in 2017. The Falcons with Jacob Tamme, he had 81 targets, 59 receptions, 657 yards. That's 2015. You go back to 2013, 2012. These are Tony Gonzalez years.
Oh,
Tony Gonzalez had 121 targets, 83 receptions, 859 yards. And yeah, he's not going to be Tony Gonzalez, but it's a team. Matt Ryan likes to throw to his tight end, and they need him to do well. So to me, he has a lot of upside, and it's built on that offense. If I'm
8th round. So I mean, you're preaching to the guy who has him in a whole other tier. So I'm with you. I love his upside.
Yeah, but if I'm picking the best tight end out of all these guys, and who I think could be the best tight end out of all these young guys over the course of his career, it's Noah Fant.
Yeah,
I love Noah Fant. That guy, to me, looks like he is going to be the truth.
Yeah.
And so how is he fitting into your, you know, these 9 through 11 rounds?
Yeah. So the way that I rank him, I agree with you too. And I haven't talked about him a lot on Twitter or anything. You know, I begrudgingly have Evan Ingram ranked above him. his potential is through the roof if he's healthy. I don't know if he's going to be healthy. He's not somebody I've ever drafted, nor will I. But he comes after him, and he comes before Hawkinson, one spot before Hawkinson, kind of, right in that mix. It's between both of them. If one of them's gone, I'm getting the other one. That's for sure for me. I have Austin Hooper after them. But then, we kind of get into this kind of some of the same guys, Gronkowski, Gesicki, but I really do like Fant. I think that Courtland Sutton is a beast in that offense. And, people like to dump on Drew Lock. I watched a video, and it wasn't a hype video, but it was just a video of some of his better throws last year, about 5 of them on a little Twitter video. And there's some really incredible throws he made. And they weren't like all for touchdowns and stuff, but they were like pinpoint accurate. Like you saw the skill on display. If he really did spend time getting coached up, I know he's got some offensive line issues that they're working through, and maybe they're not going to be stellar this year. They're in a tough division, but I do think that Noah Fant stands to benefit the most from an improved Drew Lock, because he's somebody who did build rapport at the end of the season with him, and I think he's going to be a breakout as well. So,
I mean, for me, the only reason why I don't have him ranked, into the 8th round is just the cons on him to me are, Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay. Like,
Yep.
that is a lot of volume, and it's not, I put Blake Jarwin way up there, and he's in that same situation, but you're dealing with a really high-powered, effective offense, whereas this offense, we don't know. So,
Right.
I just, here's what I do know. This is what I like. I have Evan Ingram up there. I love Evan Ingram when he's on the field, and to me is maybe the best tight end in the league as far as his skill set. I think Noah Fant he's the same thing, and maybe he's a little bit bigger too.
He's a little taller, I believe.
Yeah, he's an inch taller. Evan Ingram is the fastest tight end in the league. He runs a 4.43 40. So that's ridiculous. Guess who's next? It's Noah Fant. Maybe there's some bench guys that could do it, but Noah Fant is 0.2 of a second faster than all these other guys we're naming. He runs a 4.5 40. So that was the fastest in the 2019 combine for any tight end. And 4.5 40. You're talking about, like Leonard Fournette times. You're talking about CeeDee Lamb time. That's 4.5 40 as a tight end, as a 6'4", 250-pound man.
Yeah.
So
I think that would constitute what Pete Overzet would say as a grown ass man.
He's very grown. Yeah, he's a grown ass man. So I put Blake Jarwin next. What can you say? I mean, it's just I took him, and then I took Gronk back to back. I think the upside is there with Blake, and I just think with Gronk,
you'll get some touchdowns for sure.
Gronk is chasing history. He's already 3rd all-time in TDs. If you look at what he averages for his career, and it's kind of like, he's had 9 seasons, kind of like every other year. But if you do the math, he's averaging around 90 targets, 60 receptions, 850 yards, 9 TDs. That's a tight end, top 3 right there. So, I will take Gronk as well if I have another good tight end to pair him with, because I think he's chasing, he's chasing numbers now too. So I think he's only 31 years old. He sat out all last year. I don't see why he can't put up some big numbers in Bruce Arians' offense. So
I agree. Well, let's end on him in that tier. I think that's a good place to end. And I'll say one of my favorite events from last year when he was not playing was him doing the New Year's Eve with Steve Harvey, and made a nice Lego head of Steve Harvey. It took hours to make this Lego head. And my favorite clip, kind of put out there as well, is Gronk taking the head. He's got he has like an old school leather football helmet on. Looks like a Notre Dame guy from like 1950. He takes the thing, and his head, and then he goes, "Oh, Gronk spike!" He spikes it on the ground, and Steve Harvey couldn't be more angry. He could not be more angry because they made it for him. Like he was going to take it home. It was special for him and his family, and Gronk just spiked it on the ground. And with that, I'm going to do a little spiking of my own right now. I got this in the mail today from someone. I'm not going to show their address because that's not appropriate, but let's just say their name is Pete Manzanelli. And if you're a fan of Pete Manzanelli, like I am, you know, this is a very exciting little minute here. I got something in an envelope, special. It's heavy. It's weighted. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Hold on. Oh, look at this, boys and girls. I got me a man's coin from my man Pete Manzanelli, a.k.a. Pete Overzet. Love that guy. On the back shelf there, I do have his bitch monkey that I'm sending him. It's a trade. It's some beer for stuff trade. And he's got the number and then the signature. This is Man's Coin Lit number 153. I feel very special right now. I wanted to drop that on here because, you know, Pete Overzet is a personal hero of mine. And this bitch is going to win me $1 million because I'm going to rub it every day before I put my DFS lineups in. I might let you touch it at the draft. I'll bring it to the draft on Sunday for sure to show everyone that I'm better than them. And thanks for letting me do that, Pete. I appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah, I think the man coin is a really well placed product to be part of the tight end gangbang episode. So
he would be all over that. And when he was done, and when we all were done, we would jump in with a little Bo's Hot Box Batch hot sauce. That shit's hot. And I have about 12 of these that I'm planning on giving away over the course of the next couple of weeks, and as we get into the NFL season, we have lots of podcasts coming out, different platforms, different things. I'm giving these away. I already gave one away to my man Mike, the Ralph Macho, up at his house. How you doing it? How you enjoying the hot box, my friend?
Dude, I'm so grateful that you came over and brought that into my life. I mean, I'm putting that in between a game changer and a life changer. It's in between those two things. I mean, I put it on everything. It's part of what I do. I put it on my breakfast and I put it on my dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the best hot sauce around. And you know what? Shout out. I'm doing a competition with a bunch of friends. It's not a competition. It's like a best ball league. But this Thursday, we are going to be doing a little draft streaming. Check out Scott Fish's Twitter this day. He tweeted out a little while ago the link from my girl Faith. She's one of my favorite people. We're doing a league. My man Fantasy Stoner is in there. Bo is in there, the hot box man himself. Lots of other great people in there. I'm honored to be in this group of people. And Thursday night, we're going to be eating wings drenched in all these hot sauces. I got the last dab from the hot ones. I'm going to be drenching my wings in that and those bad boys. It's going to be intense. So this Thursday, I think it's 8:30. Look for the tweets. It's going to be on all the Periscopes. We're going to be rocking it out. Please come and stay for that. I'll be eating a bunch of the bows.
Word. All right. Well, what? You want to do 3 tweets?
Let's rock some 3 tweets. Yeah, man. I think I'm ready to roll with this.
All right. I just sent you mine.
All right. I'm going to pull it up. Little show production value. Bam, bam, bam. All right. Here we go. Here we go again.
Yeah.
All right. Bringing up the tweet deck. Mr. Ralph Macho. I see you there. All right. Let's go with you, Mr. JJ Zacharyson.
Yep, this is the perfect tweet for this episode. JJ Zacharyson, perfect tweet. This is a perfect tweet. All the speculation about where Leonard Fournette could go, this entered into my mind, but it wasn't quite as well worded as this. Mr. Zacharyson tweets, one place Leonard Fournette could go to and see immediate volume is Jacksonville. Right? I mean, what better team for him to go to? Like, what team needs a running back more than Jacksonville? I mean,
I love JJ Zacharyson. He wins Twitter for today. That's outstanding. That's the best.
Did I already win 3 tweets? Is that the winner? I mean, I
Yeah.
want to hear yours.
Yeah, well,
I
we'll
locked
see.
it up.
We'll see.
All right.
I'm
I'll
good.
send you my second tweet while you give me yours.
Dude, he almost has 10,000 likes on this bad boy. I love that. That's my man JJ, killing it. All right, so for mine, the one I sent you is we'll pull it up together. It is a video, and for some reason my tweeter's not bringing it up, but we'll try it anyway. Okay. All right, here we go. It is the video of a guy running around a yard. And it's from Chubb's Burger, my man at Chubb's Burger on the tweeters. I'm also part of a group of men with Jason Sarney called the Fantasy Football Friars. We are accepting, videos of funny people who want to be in our group. We're an all-inclusive group. If you're funny, you're in. And the way you get in is, we have to make fun of you and stuff like that, of course. But what you do is you kind of could make fun of yourself and get in like this friend does. And so you have the video up and running. He's in the corral, we can say.
Yeah, I have it. You ready? Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, we're still going. Oh, yeah.
Those listening on the podcast, he's running around like a horse, jumping.
Oh, bang it. Oh,
First one.
yeah. Yes. Turn right. Oh, hobbly through the court. Oh,
Hop.
yeah.
Jumping over 1 foot horse jumps, and he's got his beer.
And he's wearing a hamburger shirt. You could switch that out with your Biggie shirt.
Yeah. So he has a cheeseburger. His name is Chubb's Burger. He has like a shirt that's a big cheeseburger. The funniest part of the video is when in the beginning, as he goes to jump over the first hurdle, he screams out something. It's inaudible. But as he does it, he misses the jump and falls flat on his face. Hurts his ankle, hurts his knee. It's funny. So Jason and I have definitely we're sending him his, let's say, his man's coin, his Friars coin, whatever we're gonna do, because this guy is killing it. So I just wanted to share that because it's something funny. I think you win just on sheer irony. I think the irony of that just is overwhelming me to the point where it's one of the funniest things I've seen in like weeks. If not, I might have to DM him and just tell him how funny it is after this podcast because, dude, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
You win. You win.
Okay. I just sent you mine. Yeah, it's it's LeBron James, and he is going bald as he does during NBA games. And
right. When his hair gets wiped away.
yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand what happens to him during games. And Twitter, the internet is undefeated. They took his bald spot and they drew in that famous face from, I think it's like Vincent van Gogh or Pablo Picasso, where it's like the alien man face, and he's just like
holding
screaming. Yeah, he's like holding his mouth. Yeah, that made me giggle today when I saw that. Yeah, I thought LeBron had solved his balding during games thing, and I guess he is not. He is still dealing with baldness during games.
But not baldness later.
Oh man, he looks so good, man. Like, yeah, he goes back in there and he throws some I don't know, pepper on it. I don't know what he's doing.
It's hair in a can, bro. I watched the infomercials in the 90s.
Is he got that Steven Seagal hair in a can stuff? Man, I could use some because he looks fantastic when he gets out there and he's got his suit on and when he gets out of the stadium, when he's walking into the stadium, he does not look like he has the ghost face man in his head. But by about the third quarter, that dude shows up.
And maybe that's his secret power. I don't know. He's got a little extra oomph in his bump, you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
Well,
whatever hairspray he's using is legit, though. That Steven Seagal stuff.
The ozone layer is depleting around him as he puts his hair on.
I mean,
Well,
if I saw that and I didn't know, that this happens to LeBron James, I would be so scared. Like, I would be like, if my friend just played basketball and then midway through the game, their hair fell out like that, I would be like, did you get radiation poisoning? Like, what is going on, bro? We got to go to the emergency room. Like, what happened?
There's a picture of it next to it. So the tweet has the picture of the ghost, on the head zoomed up, and then you can go over to the tweet. And I'm doing this on YouTube if you're watching on the podcast. I'm sorry, go look it up on Twitter. But the best part is when you can see his regular head without the ghost on it, it still looks like there's a ghost on it. Like they didn't put that much stuff on it. I'm squinting. I still see that ghost. It's terrible.
No, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like, it's there now.
Never. It's haunting me without seeing it. It's there forever, and it's hilarious. You're killing the three tweets, man. Yeah, I know this episode is lingering into the the next day, but I'm loving it, and I think that was well played, sir. Well done.
Well, thank you, my friend. Another episode 5 is in the books. We've given you a lot of good guys, I think, through these 11 rounds. And we still have one more episode to go. So we're going to do 12 through 14 and really get into those late round flyers, sleepers, breakouts. Yeah, I mean, there's still some guys that could win you your league, I think, in these next few rounds. So that's
all
next
of our
week.
Picks are up. All of our picks are up on the fantasymillionaires.com. Go check it out. Rounds 1 through 11, Mike and I, they're up there right now. If you want to just kind of see where we stand. At the end of this, next week after we release them all, I'm going to put the composite up there, and you can just kind of see, end of the season, not end of the season, but kind of like, the mid, where we are in the middle. So that's coming next Monday.
Yeah. Well, this episode with Mr. Zacharysen's tweet should get 5 of them, but it at least gets 1. So,
and one from me as well, sir.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
We have been talking a lot, so I wanted to say,
don't talk to me, all right? Knock it off.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm going to say is, you should go subscribe on YouTube. You should go follow us on Twitter. You should follow us at FF Millionaires on Twitter. You should follow us on Stitcher, subscribe on Stitcher. You should subscribe on Apple Podcast. You should subscribe on Google Play. You should subscribe on every single format that we provide the content for. You need this, man. You need this.
Check out the website, too, thefantasymillionaires.com. It's tight.
Oh, it's tight. We're putting stuff up there new every day. It's going to be awesome. And also, check out Nimble with Numbers and my man Bo. He's on there. I also have a Friends with Benefits page on there, my guys. So my guy CD Carter's on there. My guy Nick from Big Dogs is on there. I got my other man, Pete Davidson from Rotobahn is on there. And, of course, Bo the Hotbox Man is on there. So we're trying to spread the love across fantasy Twitter. We love all the guys we talk about, and we're building relationships with you all. Have a great draft. If you're drafting between now and then, get your guys, win your league. Tell us about it. Peace.
Peace out.